The Edmonton Oilers are back home and back on home ice. I'm back home and in my own Sports Closet studio as the Edmonton Oilers look to take a 2-1 series lead in the Western Conference Final. We've got lineup changes for one team, possible lineup changes for the other, game time decision. So we do have quite a bit to unpack here tonight. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Pre-Gaming with BORDZY, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant for a reason. Subscribe to the ON YouTube, drop your like, get in the chat, give me some takes. What do we got cooking in there right now? We just got a nice Your Pal Joe, Oilers in 6. I'm going to say it. Let's fucking go. I love this team. Ryder with a little LFG, some more LFGs. Everybody in here, and Cruz. I'm not going to read that one out loud, but I couldn't agree better myself. I'm your host, Aaron Bordato, joined by the man with me, Zach Laing. Shout out to you, Zach. I made the bullpen call earlier this morning. Shout out Frank Saravalli for answering my bullpen call earlier this morning as well, as I had to host Oilers Nation every day because Ty, Liam, and Bag Milk are once again #avoiding the grind. Just kidding. I would much rather be in my spot than where they have been for the last 24 to 36 hours. They've had the travel day from hell. I think they're just getting back. Ty literally just texted me. We haven't done that in a while, so I hope he's home. But Zach, I'm just as happy to see you here, buddy. How you doing?
Bordsy, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Feeling a little nervous for this one. Want to get it going. Want to see what happens. Want to see how Adam Henrique looks. Wondering what it's going to be like without Ryan McLeod on the third line. There's a lot to get to tonight, man, as you were talking about. It's going to be an interesting game tonight.
Yep, it sure is. And as I mentioned, make sure you subscribe to the ON YouTube. Be like Cruz here. Just watched your Frank Saravalli podcast. Just found you. I'm in need for watch party buds. Come on down, brother. But fortunately for my liver, I am not at Greta right now, as I have been there the past 5 games in a row. And, Zach, sometimes they're like, well, you could just not have beers. My show is called Pre-Gaming, and we're at a bar, and it's Oilersnation After Dark. And I'm only human, okay? So
it's true.
My voice cracks a couple times tonight. I've been working overtime. We're working hard out here, emceeing events. And as Cruz mentioned, you need some watch party love. You come on down to Greta. We know we're going to get a Game 5, which would be on Friday, I do believe. Buckle up, buckaroo. That means we're going to be back at Greta for that bad boy. But let's talk about this series and what's happened so far. 1-1, coming back to Rogers Place, back in Edmonton. A straight-up dream. I said earlier today with Frank, you give me that option when we start this series and that they're both going to be basically 1-goal games. Yes, there was an empty netter, but you see there, the margin is just a 1-goal difference. I'm going to take the 1-1 split 10 times out of 10, dude. It's hard to win on the road, especially in the Western Conference Final, especially against a team as good as the Dallas Stars. And I felt like the Oilers in game 1, maybe more so, they brought that energy. But in both games, they definitely played desperate. The problem in game 2, and it's been a theme throughout the season and the playoffs, and it's a cliche, full 60 minutes. They come into the gates firing in period 1. The shots are 16-4. And then you just kind of let the foot off the gas pedal, and it spitballs from there. Zachary, what have your takeaways kind of been from game 2 and this series overall as a whole so far?
Well, you know what, Bordsy, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. We've seen the Oilers do some things that they did in the second round where they come out really strong in a game or in a set of a couple games, and then they kind of tail off towards the end of it. That's kind of what it felt like in game 2. Now, as a whole, I don't think it was anywhere near what we saw in the Vancouver series. But again, the margins are much slimmer right now. It's the Western Conference Finals. It's a better team in the Dallas Stars, a more well-rounded, more complete team with like a top 5 goaltender in the world. So it's a lot different than what the Canucks had, who still were able to take the Edmonton Oilers to 7 games, mind you. So you know what? I really love the performance in game 1, front to back. I thought that one was rock solid. Game 2, it was good. It was a good game, but they need to be better, and I'm expecting them to be much better tonight.
One line that I expect to be better because it might be addition by subtraction right now at this point. It's the third line. The Edmonton Oilers, they desperately need more from that third line, and we know it tonight. Ryan McLeod out. Adam Henrique is going to come in. We don't know for sure he's going to play that 3C role. But if you read Jason Greger's game day article earlier today, he said that he spoke to Rico, and Rico said he expects to play down the middle of the ice. And as far as I'm concerned, you ain't touching that top six. But McLeod, sure, Zach, you and I have both sat here through the playoffs and stretches this season where we defend Ryan McLeod because he is such a good defensively responsible centerman. Sure, it's been there, but eventually, and I've said this too much in the last couple shows, it's been going on for way too long. He's been held pointless for now 14 games through these NHL playoffs. Game 2 felt was more of the same. Game 1, he had 5 hits. He had 3 shots. I thought he was much more of a physical presence. Didn't shy as much away from the middle of the ice. Game 2 kind of falls back into those regular patterns. Passive, passenger, just kind of skating around. Just a few of the words that kind of come to mind when you think of Ryan McLeod. McLeod, no points in 14 games. Derek Ryan has 1 assist in 11 games, but I honestly think he's been pretty good in the role he's been there on the third line. And Warren Foegele through the playoffs has 2 assists, 5v5. He does have a goal, but it's an empty net goal. And Zach, clearly Chris Nabla has seen what I'm seeing, and frankly, I think he has seen enough because McLeod is going to be watching from the press box. Nobby, though, said he believes in him, got confidence. I'm sure he will be back in the lineup, but Rico, he's got to go in there right now. I said to Frank, I just simply think McLeod has forced Nobby's hand at this point.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's similar to the situation with Stuart Skinner in the second round against Vancouver, where Skinner came out and did not have a very good game, 3 and 4. And then all of a sudden, 3 and 4, 2 and 3. Skinner struggled in game 2 and 3 against Vancouver. And then it was 4 and 5 that Pick Daddy came in and shut the door for the Oilers. It feels like a similar situation here right now with Ryan McLeod, right? Again, I don't think that you can argue taking McLeod out of the lineup. I'm not going to sit here and argue that he should be in the lineup, but there are some things that kind of have me a little bit curious about this situation. Bordsy, you know me, I'm an analytics guy. I got some numbers for you here today, okay? Got some numbers here for you. As I clear my throat. So the trio of Warren Foegele, Ryan McLeod, and Derek Ryan have played 27 minutes and 12 seconds at 5-on-5 so far in these playoffs. Now, of course, that's all here in this series against Dallas. I don't really think they played together in the prior rounds much. They've been on the ice for 0 goals for and 3 goals against. Okay, so 27 minutes, no goals for, 3 goals against. If you go and look at Warren Foegele and Ryan McLeod together in the playoffs, when Derek Ryan isn't on their line, across 51 minutes, they've got 0 goals scored and only 1 goal against in 51 minutes. So I think it's kind of curious here. All of a sudden we see this shift where Derek Ryan now comes up and is playing on this line with these guys. Now all of a sudden 3 goals against are scored here in a couple of games in 27 minutes. The numbers are pretty staggering. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Ryan McLeod should necessarily be in the lineup tonight because I think it's justified taking him out of the lineup here tonight. However, I will say I almost wonder if Derek Ryan is the guy that maybe should have been scratched tonight instead of Ryan McLeod. I think with McLeod too, like his speed is such a great asset. His ability to kind of get in deep and get back quickly is really, really key. But then if you look at the other side of things, if you take a look at the penalty kill, Derek Ryan is 6 for 8 in the faceoff circle on the penalty kill so far against Dallas, right? That's a really, really great number. He's a right shot center. He's, winning 75% of his draws right now. So just some interesting stuff to kind of look at and ponder here as we go ahead throughout this series and see what happens for game 4, because you got to assume that McLeod's going to be coming back in for game 4.
I would think so. I think this is just a reset your mind kind of thing. Worked for Stuart Skinner in the last series, and then boom, Nobby says he knows, he trusts the guys that have gotten him here. Also, those Derek Ryan numbers, boy, oh boy, I hope was not watching, or he had his ears plugged in there. That poor boy, that's all I could think about when you were saying those numbers. But checking in the chat here, where was it? Also, shout out to Gito. We haven't lost a series yet with Bordsy pre-gaming us, so we're good to go. Facts. I'm 2-0, baby. 2-0 in the series. We've never done this before, so if we win the cup this year, when we win the cup this year, I'm getting a contract renewal 100%, right? At that point, I would hope so. I would think so. But somebody else mentioned, where was it in here? They said final buzzer. Henrique was only visible when he played with Connor. Third line, he did nothing. but screwing with the top 6 now is a bad idea. I'd argue with Henrik in that 3C role. I don't really need him to be the most offensive guy there. It's kind of, you just need to break even, give me a couple depth goals here and there, which we know Rico can do. He scored 24 goals in the regular season for a reason. Granted, some of that was in a top 6 wing spot. Somebody else in here. The Cloudy Boy was making it too gloomy. Good swap. We now have King Henry. So that's just it, right? Rico, he's a proven veteran playoff guy. I mean, he hasn't played in the playoffs in a while, but when he last did, he was very good. And you traded a first rounder to acquire him, which can be an argument, but at this point in the season, I don't give a shit what you gave up to acquire whoever you gave up. You play the best possible lineup out there. I do think right now, Rico, if, and it's a big if he's at 100%, because we know we saw him in round 2 for game 2, I want to say, or it was game 3, and he came in, tried to test it out, didn't work, didn't play that much, and then the Oilers spent the rest of the game with 11 forwards. I said I think it's a move Nobby had to make. I think that's the guy to go in. Would you have made any other moves? Today on O&E, some guys in the chat were bringing up Corey Perry, and Frank himself said he would have brought Corey Perry back into this lineup. He presented Derek Ryan as a name, possibly even Warren Fogle. I'm not taking Warren Fogle out of this lineup. He hasn't been what he was in the regular season, but I saw it enough consistently in the regular season to want him in there. He says if you're going to do like a 1-game spot, Frank was, that Corey Perry is the choice to put in there because he's a savvy veteran. He mentioned on the third line, you didn't sometimes need to play the full, consistent, great game. You just need a couple moments. In Corey Perry's career, well, it's been full of those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? We saw an illness kind of run through the Edmonton Oilers, late in LA, early in Vancouver. It seemed like games 6 and 7, everybody was playing a little bit better. It seems now through games 1 and 2, everybody's playing a little bit more better. I almost wonder maybe Corey Perry was just really under the weather, throughout that Vancouver series, the 5 games that he played in, because he was non-existent out there. And there was a couple guys out there that I thought were far too quiet in that series against Vancouver, right? I think this is the perfect time to bring Corey Perry back in. I'm a little bit surprised he's not in the lineup tonight. I know things worked well and looked good. That fourth line was looking really sharp. Connor Brown was looking good out there, scored a huge goal, was really, really nice to see there. So I understand not wanting to tweak the fourth line, but hey, you know what? If the fourth line goes out there and, if they score a goal again tonight, I don't think you can bring Corey Perry in for either of those 3 guys. But I think if, they maybe break even or they're 0-1 in goals tonight, I think I could see Corey Perry coming in for Connor Brown. Perry's a guy who's a playoff performer. He's been his entire life. And I think it's maybe a little bit more fluky than anything else that he hasn't been very productive so far in the postseason. The other thing, too, with his Dallas series is the pace of play. It is a slow series. It is a slow, grinding kind of a series. And I think that really plays to the benefit of Perry's game as well.
Yeah, I could maybe understand the argument that if you're going to bring Rico in, you're going to change up the third line, and in your depth roles there, the fourth line has been the most consistent. So maybe you don't want to change both of them up at the same time because we are, as you just mentioned, the Oilers' fourth line, dude. They're awesome. Did you have a Connor Brown goal with the primary assist coming from Cody Ceci on your bingo card for the first goal of the game at Greta? We give the pucks out, right, with a number, and the goal scorer, whoever scores that goal, you come over and you win a whole bunch of prizes. I gave the guy the Connor Brown puck earlier in the night, and he was pissed. He's like, why would you give me this? It's never even going to happen. Well, I shit you not, that goes down. You should have seen the grin on his face when he came up. He's like, what do I win? What do I win? I said, Connor Brown jersey. You can get it right there, brother. But, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that the more this series moves along, because I do expect Corey Perry to get back in the lineup at some point. But the way the fourth line's been rolling right now, I respect and understand the decision by Nobby not to do it. So we did talk, though. The Oilers came into the series underdogs. It was beautiful. You could see plus signs next to the Oilers on Betway. Hadn't seen that all playoffs long. And while I think the Oilers have made the odds makers maybe sit up in their seats a little bit, one of the reasons they were such favorites, the Stars, was because of the goaltending battle. And, dude, right now, I'm not seeing much of a difference between both of these 25-year-old goaltenders. Yes, Jay Gottinger, he's a proven playoff guy. He's had incredible playoff runs before. He didn't have such strong numbers this season, but you can kind of expect this to come, and boom, there it is. Stuart Skinner, though, on the other hand, we don't need to reflect in it of what round 2 was. And the fact his save percentage did start with a 7 at one point in that series. I mentioned in the last one, I said, Stu is back when he's allowing the first shot against, because right after that, he locked it down and was pretty good throughout the game. Overall in the series, he's been good, man. Borderline great. I might even say he stopped 53 of 57, only 2 allowed in each game. It's a 929 in the series. Ottinger's good, but dude, don't sleep on Stuart Skinner right now. He's playing just as good.
Yeah, he is, Bordsy. I think this has been a really impressive turnaround for Skinner. 917 save percentage over his last 4 games here. He is looking absolutely dialed in, and that's going to be key for the Edmonton Oilers here, going forward. I thought the biggest thing about game 2 for me was, he lets in the first goal on Jamie Benn. Without a doubt, one that he's going to want back. He should have had that one. He knows he should have had that one. But the fact that the Oilers were able to go down and score like 40 seconds later, that was probably a huge sigh of relief for Skinner, right? That was probably a huge sigh of relief, because it was okay, we're back to even now. And now Skinner's in the game, Ottinger's in the game. Both of them have allowed a goal on one of the first shots of the game. And Skinner, he's playing rock solid. And you know what? If the Oilers have any hopes of getting through this round and making it to the promised land, the Stanley Cup Finals, the Edmonton Oilers are going to need Stuart Skinner at the top of his game. And right now, Bordsy, I think he's at the top of his game.
He's looking pretty good, in the wise words of Larry David. Also, can confirm, boys are back in Edmonton. They are safe. They're back on Canadian soil. We will get Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk tomorrow. I bet he just hated it. Of course, Zach, I put Bordsy over top of Tyler Yaremchuk for the opening slate of the show today, just to piss him off just a little bit. Frank said to do it as well. Big storyline, though, on the other side of the ice. Whoops, my mic. It's Rupe Hintz for the Dallas Stars. He's a game-time decision. Hasn't played since Game 5 of Round 2 against the Avalanche. We've talked about it a lot. He's clearly a massive part to this team. He's their first-line centerman, and he has made everything adjust in the lineup. Wyatt Johnson playing first-line center, Matt Duchene 2C. And, well, I said he's not the defensively reliable guy that you might want him to be. I will say Matt Duchene has actually been pretty good in the series. Pete DeBoer mentioned before the last game that he compared Rupe Hintz to not Connor McDavid, but it's like playing without Connor McDavid in your team, or Mika Zibanejad in New York for the Rangers. He's been big for this team all year. He's more defensively responsible than most. You'd expect him to play back in the top line. If he plays tonight, Zach, this is going to change some things in this series big time. Most notably, you would think, the 97 matchup. However, we do have last change tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really think it matters who Connor McDavid is going to be going up against. We saw in the regular season here. Yeah, I know, spicy hot take, right? Big shocker. Connor McDavid is good, everybody, in case you didn't know. He's really, really good. And, him playing with Nugent Hopkins and Zach Hyman, they're just such an excellent trio. And they were together in the regular season taking on Dallas, and they more than held their own against Rupe Hintz. Rupe Hintz is a very good player. Do not get me wrong. He's excellent at driving play offensively. He's a very solid defensive, responsible center as well. And he's a big piece of what makes the Dallas Stars tick. And I think if he comes back in the lineup tonight, it's only going to make them better, because as you mentioned, it's going to drop other guys down their lineup now. So it's going to make them a deeper team. It's going to make them tougher to play against. They're going to have a little bit of a boost, feeling like they got their number one center back. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. It's definitely quite the storyline to follow here over the course of the next 40 minutes or so. We're about 10-15 minutes away from warm-ups going on. I'll be keeping a close eye on that as always. So we will see, Bordsy.
I asked Frank on the show and after the show today, looked him dead in the eye. And I said, is he playing tonight? Frank said, I would expect it. I would expect him to go tonight. So if Frank says it, I believe it, and I'm going to push it. But I mentioned last change. The Oilers going to be back on home ice tonight, dude, and couldn't be any better. I get to do it from home tonight as well, but some home cooking, sleeping in your own bed and in front of your home fans. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. We know we've been a better team, home record all season long. The power play numbers are better. Stuart Skinner's numbers are better. And the crowd should be bringing it hard. But Zach, they should be bringing it extra hard tonight because today would have been Ben Stelter's 8th birthday. The Edmonton legend was a massive, massive part of the playoff push a couple of years ago. And while we know he might no longer be with us, man, he is going to be there in the building tonight. If you are going to the game and you're going to be in that crowd, you know you're going to be screaming with a little extra juice for Ben tonight. If you don't have your voice tomorrow at work, that means you did your job. That means Ben would have wanted it. And dude, how sick would it be to celebrate Ben's 8th birthday, then DJ Tyler Bosencool hitting Play La Bamba up there in the DJ booth and getting a win on home ice tonight? Obviously important. You never really need extra motivation, especially in the Western Conference Final. But you know, every guy in that locker room knows it's Ben's birthday today. They want to win for Ben. They want to perform for Ben. And I do think that's going to be an aspect. Home crowd should be cooking tonight, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben Stelter, I mean, what can you say about him? A huge, huge piece of this organization over the last number of years, a huge motivating factor for the Edmonton Oilers over the last number of years. Of course, there was some drama after game 2 with the Dallas Stars DJ playing La Bamba. But you know what? Something really good has come out of that because according to Courtney Thoreau, a reporter here in Edmonton, $10,000 in donations to the Ben Stelter Foundation have come from the Dallas area in the last couple of days, which actually just gives me legitimate chills right now. The Stars DJ came out and said, hey, you know what? That's my fault. Didn't quite realize what it was. And they were just trying to egg the Edmonton Oilers on like they do with every other team. Chelsea Dagger when they beat the Chicago Blackhawks, New York when they beat the Rangers. So thankfully it was just a kind of innocent little thing that happened there. But, I was kind of thinking over the last 2 days, I mean, that is something that would have been bulletin board material for the Edmonton Oilers if it turned out to be anything but what it was. So, yeah, you know what? It's going to be a huge roar in Rogers tonight when I'm sure they'll do something. I'm sure they'll make some kind of note of Ben's birthday. That should be something that's going to really fire up the crowd and the team tonight.
I would hope there was something in the pregame when they play that video because you put Ben on that screen and that crowd is going to go absolutely insane. And the thing with the Dallas Stars DJ, I like that this didn't get crazy or get out of hand or anything online. Dude, it was an innocent, in my opinion, it was an innocent troll job. It's a funny troll job. That's our victory song. That's a move. Every sports team everywhere does. You do that. The DJ came out, clearly said, whoa, I did not know that. That was not my intention. And then, Zach, you turn something that could have been a bad situation and you turn it positive. Frank said it. Tyler said it. Liam said it. Jay Bagmodell said it. The Dallas fans are a very, very nice group so far. And I asked the comparisons of you've been to LA, you've been to Vegas, you've been to Vancouver. He said Dallas, tops of the tops. Even Frank said it today on the show. He's like, people from Texas, they're good folks. So you have to like that right now. Let's take a look in the YouTube chat. Did you just say somebody in here is from Italy?
Yeah, Yash Arya tuning in from Italy. That's pretty damn cool.
Add him to the map. I wanted to make a map all year where I could start putting where people have been watching the shows from throughout. I see here in the chat, we got some love for little Ben. Win it for Ben. Nice honors. Like this from Eric. Bordsy deserves a raise. Yep, just sneak that one in there. Not really sure why that's in there, but yes, absolutely.
Save that one to send to the bosses, eh?
Jay, you watching? All right, cool. Talk to Eric for me. He's my agent now, but he doesn't get 10%. But the playoffs are here, Zach, and that means it's time to oil up. I'm not wearing any merch right now. I'm actually shouting out BPs right now, but there you see it on your screen. Go get them. Nationgear.ca. We got hats. We got shirts in all kinds of different colors. We got Live Laugh La Bambas. We got pregame with Bordzies. Zach, let's get you a t-shirt. And let's start selling it there on Nation Gear because our graphics team and our design team does some of the best work I've ever seen. We just dropped, I saw a Rico Suave shirt for Adam Henrique coming back in the lineup. Kennedy, Eric, the whole team, they do such a good job. And the quality is there, man. I was throwing these shirts out on Saturday night at Greta, and a couple of guys got them, and they went, man, the quality of this is great. And a guy put one on, told him I wasn't kidding. I swear by it. It makes your biceps look bigger. It's a Bordsy guarantee right there. But let's move now to our need-to-know info, courtesy of Will Hawk Beef Jerky, because only the finest tasting meat products earn the Will Hawk name made from 100% pure Alberta beef. Their jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. Their jerky gladly fills orders of any size. You can find their jerky, sausage, and other products exclusively out of their Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall kiosk locations. Zach, Brian Nugent-Hopkins, also great photo, says tuning in from Spain tonight, boys, from Edmonton, though. Can I still put that on the map? No, I'm going to put it on the map. I'm going to do it anyways. So you need to know info. Rico, he is confirmed in the lineup. We expect him to play that 3C role, but as I mentioned, it has not been confirmed yet. But Jason Greger's ears heard Rico say he expects him to play down the middle of the ice. I said there has not been much separation in this series so far. Both games were a one-goal game until the Essa Lindell empty netter. Zach, what'd you think about the goalie pull on that one? Just shit luck. That was just shit luck.
Oops. Oops. I think that's the best way you can say it. So Chris Knobloch said after the game, yeah, probably wish we could have had that one back a little bit. Just bad timing. Sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? This feels like the right moment to do it, and you do it, and then all of a sudden it's like 10 seconds later, it's like, ooh, oh, that one just went into our net. Rats.
Dude, there's never any guarantee, and there is a 5 to 8 seconds of the goalie getting from there to the bench that you're in no man's land. There's nothing you can do about it. Your heart stops, and you go, holy shit, I hope they don't get the puck right there at that moment. Well, that happened in that one, but each team has 4 goals, 5v5. The Oilers, though, do have more shots and more scoring chances. And I guess Edmonton has limited the Stars to only 3 scoring chances off the rush, while they've generated 16 of their own. Those numbers, courtesy of our boy Greg's. Stuart Skinner, he's going to get the start. As I mentioned, 929 in this series. You said like a 919 over his past 4 games. 3-1-0, I guess, in that situation. Stu, he's back on the Dallas Stars side of things. Rupe Hintz, game time decision. He's been out for a while. Expect him to go tonight. And if he does go, I'd expect Ty Delandre is going to be the odd man out. He stepped in for Radek Faksa ahead of game 2. He played 11 minutes. He had 3 shots. He had 3 hits. I actually thought he was pretty noticeable overall, but if you get hints, you know that he's going to be the odd man out. Then it's Jake Ottinger. He's been good. He's had clutch stops in overtime in game 1. And I thought in game 2, he was just really, really good. And I think that's something the Edmonton Oilers are going to need to expect. A couple more power play opportunities might be nice, Zachary. And we'll touch on that in just a moment. I don't know if we're going to see more, though, with the way this Dallas Stars team plays. Let's get into it now. The Sherwood Ford Giant storyline this evening. And tonight, mine is simple. Do it for Ben. That's all it is right there. Enough said. These players want to win. It's the extra motivation I just mentioned. That little guy meant a lot to the city, and he means a lot to everybody in that room. Storylines could also be Adam Henrique, sure, coming into the lineup. But it's all about Ben tonight. This is Ben's day, and it forever will be in this city. I will proclaim that myself. I am not the mayor, but hey, I got an audience right here. It's worth shooting my shot. Hopefully the Oil can take advantage of that opportunity. And I said, play La Bamba at the end of the night tonight. Zach, you got a Sherwood Ford Giant storyline for me this evening?
I think it's going to be Connor McDavid for me, Bordsy. He was one of my Betway bets the day at Oilersnation.com, 2+ points, sitting at -125. Really like this spot for him tonight. You know, he's been held off the score sheet a couple of times so far in these playoffs. 3 times specifically, he's went without a point in a game. And in the games that followed that, he's totaled 6 points in those 3 games that followed it. So I like McDavid to bounce back here tonight for the Oilers. They're going to need him to. They're going to need him to find some offense. He's going to be able to have some more favorable matchups out there tonight, which is going to be really key for him too. I'm going to be curious to see if they try and get him out there against Alex Petrovic in Petrovic's few minutes that he plays. So for me, it's going to be seeing what McDavid can do out there.
I'd be like foaming at the mouth if I saw Petrovic get stuck in on an icing and he's out there for a minute or two and you can load up that top line. Frothing. I tell you, brother, frothing, drooling, some might even say. Let's get into it, though. The Edmonton lineup report brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant for a reason, and home of the Giant Advantage. They've got a great selection of new and used vehicles. It's the best place to find, finance, and service a Ford vehicle in Edmonton and Sherwood Park. There you can find giant deals and a giant array of services and parts too. Whether you prefer shopping online or in store, they tailor the shopping experience to you from people who really care. Sherwood Ford, the giant for a reason. Let's take a look at it here. As we said, project that will be 19, Adam Henrique in that Ryan McLeod spot. But the top line, the top six in general, stays the same. Nuge, McD, Hyman, Hollywood, Dry, Kaner. Then it's going to be Fogle, Henrique, and Derek Ryan. Fourth line, who's been buzzing, Matthias Janmark, Sam Carrick, and Connor Brown. Then your deep pairing stay the same. Matthias Ekholm with Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse with the big man Vinny, and Brett Kulak with Cody Ceci. So some interesting notes and things that changed in game two. Connor McDavid, you mentioned the matchup, whatever forwards he'll be against. I've had my eye on what deep pairing he's going to play against. And in game one, he played 16 minutes, 5v5 against Lindell. It was like 14 against Tanev, and it was 4-4 against Heiskanen and Harley. Well, for every shift in the third period of game two, Connor McDavid did face Miro Heiskanen. He had a positive shot share when Heiskanen was paired with Lindell. And my thing is with Nobby and Connor, you don't need to shy away from any matchups. Like, you don't need to just get him out there against Tanev and Lindell. A pairing that I do think the Oilers top line has gotten or taken advantage of so far in the series. But you want to get him out there, like you just mentioned, dude. Couple shifts, maybe against a Ryan Suter and Alex Petrovic, maybe a young Thomas Harley out there. You never know. Could be a big benefit with last change. And you mentioned it about Connor. He's looking for his first goal at home in these playoffs. He has 12 assists in 6 games at Rogers Place. And, dude, you think he's not scoring on Ben's birthday tonight? I'm feeling pretty good about that one. Don't walk, run to Betway right now. But this isn't legally binding from me. He went 7 home games without a goal in January 2018. He went 8 home games without a goal in February 2022. It's rare, and that does mean the odds for him to score are juicing up a little bit right now on Betway. And as I just said, Zach, it's written in the stars. He's scoring a goal for Ben Stelter.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's an easy one for Bordzi's bankroll tonight. McDavid's a guy who cannot be denied regularly, right? You know, it's interesting. We've seen his numbers dip a little bit in the playoffs so far. His shot rate's down a little bit. His individual expected goals are down a little bit, but he's continuing to put up points. And coming into this game, you know, just looking at the playoff numbers, he'd be pacing for 134 points over an 82-game regular season. So the production is still there. It's just a little bit different right now, you know, a little more assist driven, and credit where it's due to the other teams too. You know, LA played him hard. Vancouver played him really hard. Dallas is playing him hard so far. But again, I just don't think McDavid's a guy who can be denied for too long. And especially if he's feeling better and feeling healthier, if he's over, you know, whatever illness was going around the room, if that's what he had that was plaguing him in the second round, he's looked really good so far through these first 2 games. So I think it's just a matter of time until we have a real breakout from him.
And I think that matter of time is going to be tonight. Another guy who I would like to bet for an anytime goal this evening would be Dylan Holloway. Zach, you weren't with me for the last pre-gaming we did. I kindly asked Betway, could they please offer Dylan Holloway as an anytime goal scorer already, because he's looked fantastic in that spot. He is the definition of buzzing whenever he is on the ice. He hasn't scored since game 6. So frankly, Betway, you would have made a lot of money off of me had you been offering that to me. I would have been taking it. But dude, he looks every bit of the first round sniper that we drafted years ago. He's fast. He's physical. I said in the last one, he is headhunting a couple times out there to separate man from puck and blow them up. And the other beauty of him is he can take a hit too. I cannot remember who it was, but they sent him a suicide pass up the middle of the ice in game 2. And Dylan Holloway got absolutely blown up center ice, but he got right back up, continued to go down the rush, and continue on the forecheck. He can take a hit, and he can give a hit as well. The last time Rico was in this lineup, he was playing in the top 6 up there with Leon Draisaitl. But dude, right now, there is no way I am tinkering with anything in that top 6. I've loved what I'm seeing from Dylan Holloway. I love what I'm seeing from Evander Kane. He is every bit as advertised Kaner as the playoff performer you want. He's physical, Sometimes maybe you can want a little bit more, but dude, gotta be tough to lay the body and be that guy every time on the forecheck. But you see Kaner coming down the wing, and you see D-men give the awkward shoulder check and go, ah, shit, he's coming over. And then they turn to their left and they go, oh, shit, Dylan Holloway is also right there. That's a duo I've loved every bit together. That top six needs to stay the same, right?
Oh, yeah. You're not touching the top six at all. No way, no how. Top line, it's your top line. There's nothing to argue about that. And the emergence of this second line is like truly a 1B line that's driving play out there has been excellent to see. Dylan Holloway, he is really stepping up in a time where the Oilers really needed him to step up. They really needed him to step up and find his ways in NHL, or especially here in these playoffs. And he's done so quite admirably. I don't think there's anything you can really complain about, with his game right now. I mean, sure, on that Jamie Benn goal in game 2 there, he had a bit of a weird play, awkward pinch in the neutral zone that he got burnt on, but he's a young guy. Those kind of mistakes are going to happen. But you know what? 3 goals, 4 points in 14 games so far. He's shooting the puck a little bit. These are all things that we wanted to see from Holloway, and he's doing it.
He's doing it, brother. He's doing it. Also, somebody in here said that was a Kaner pass. Oh, maybe the dynamic duo, as I just mentioned there. They're lighting everybody up on the ice. It can be their own teammates. Doesn't matter at this point. So I talked about that, the margin for error. So far in the series, it's been incredibly slim. I felt the first period of game 1 was just a straight up, nobody throw a punch, feeling out process of just nobody make a mistake here. Let's kind of see where this goes. Game 2, things started to open up a little bit more for stretches. But I honestly think that's just because both teams know how dangerous the other one is. Both games, the under has cashed so far because both teams have a lot of skill and speed. Sometimes you don't see series, and I've mentioned this through both rounds so far in this playoff run. You don't see it hit peak physicality or peak animosity, peak tension until like games 3 or 4. And usually after that, kind of has to slow down a little bit because things are too serious and games on the line and penalties can mean a little bit more. I'm curious your opinion. Do you think the change in venue tonight, you're going to have the rowdy Edmonton crowd, better be throwing beef on the ice tonight before the game starts? I'm expecting that tonight. Do you think we could see things kind of turn up a little bit here physicality-wise? Because overall, and like we'll touch on it in a minute here, Dallas don't take a lot of penalties. They don't get in a lot of scrums, but this is the third round of the NHL playoffs. I think things are going to get a little bit more spicy tonight. I just don't know how spicy. I don't think it'll get LA levels, maybe not Vancouver levels, but who knows? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it definitely could heat up here a little bit. It's going to happen at some point, it feels like. And you hit it on the head, too. Dallas is a very disciplined team. They're a team that doesn't take a lot of penalties. They do a very, very good job of staying out of the box. So, for the Oilers, they got to fight a little bit for those penalties to be called, I guess. I don't know. You could hear McDavid saying that he was kind of perplexed about things. After game 2, Ekholm, he had a similar comment. So it wouldn't surprise me to see the animosity ramp up a little bit here as this series goes on. Bordsy, some news for you here. Roope Hintz is going to be in tonight, playing on the top line with Jason Robertson and Tyler Seguin. Second line for Dallas, Matt Duchene centering Joe Pavelski and Mason Marchment. Third line, Wyatt Johnson, Jamie Benn, Logan Stankoven. Fourth line, Sam Steele, Craig Smith, Evgeny Dadonov. And the defensive pairings all stay the same. That is according to Mike Heika, a senior staff writer for DallasStars.com.
Look at you. I just got Elliot Friedman telling me he's taking line rushes with Robertson and Seguin. You got the whole lineup, brother. That's why you're the bullpen call. That's why I make the signals and you come out of there. What's the Timmy Trumpet song that Edwin Diaz plays? What is that called? Somebody in the chat, let me know what that song is called.
I don't know what
you know what song I'm talking about.
I know the beat, yeah.
No, I'm not going to start. I was going to start. But speaking of whistles, the Edmonton Oilers could use maybe a couple bit more in this series, but once again, their power play is so dangerous. I never think that's in the refs' heads, but the Dallas Stars are incredibly disciplined hockey team, man. I said they don't get in many scrums. They defend their goal. They take good angles. You don't see a ton of like back-breaking cross checks in front of the net from the Dallas Stars. They're disciplined with their sticks, rarely take hooks. They're a veteran squad. Yes, they have young guys like Stankoven and Wyatt Johnson in the lineup, sure. but they're a veteran squad, man. You've got Jamie Benz, you've got your Tyler Seguins out there. Frank said today he thought the Oilers deserved a couple more calls in there. Maybe. I didn't think any were that egregiously missed. I said to Frank, for me in the Western Conference Final, maybe I'm a little bit old school. You and I are both born in 95, so we're both not very old school, but hey, we're 90s guys. I think it needs to be an egregious penalty for it to get called at this point because both teams have such good skill on their top power play units. Do you think tonight, maybe the crowd getting the ref's ear a little bit, do you think we're going to see the Oilers get more than the 3 power plays they've gotten through 2 games? And there was overtime. There was an extra period in there too.
Well, you know what, Bordsy, I would like to sit here and say that that might be the case tonight, but I just took a peek at who the referees are tonight. Steve Kozari and Dan O'Rourke. So, yeah, we all know how things go with Steve Kozari and the Edmonton Oilers. Check upstairs, Steve. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I agree with you. Like, I think things need to tighten up a little bit in terms of the penalties that are called. I've thought some of the ones that the Oilers have taken have been standard playoff hockey plays. I even think back to like the end of the last game where Evander Kane gets called for those slashes. That's just something you see all the time in games. Like if you're going to set that as your standard for calling penalties, and again, it's at the end of the game, so it's not really a standard setting sort of thing. But like if that's what you're going to call, then you can call that dozens of times throughout the course of a hockey game, right? So I don't know. I try not to get too wound up or strung up, fired up about the refereeing. But you know what? The Oilers have kind of gotten the short end of the stick a little bit. So who knows? Maybe we'll see that bounce back here tonight.
I don't expect it to change. I took all power play things off of Bordsy bankroll going into game 3 because I simply they didn't do it all year. They haven't done it all playoffs. Why would I expect them to suddenly start taking penalties? I guess the 97 factor. You have to do it at such high speeds, but who knows? Quickly here, the other side of the special teams. The Edmonton Oilers penalty kill, brother. Elite. Dare I say elite right now with their special teams. One goes up, well, the other goes down. Hey, we get one right now. They've killed off their last 20-plus PK opportunities. They've held Dallas scoreless with the man advantage for 6 opportunities so far this series. Ryan McLeod has been a big part of that, so you will miss his speed and his PK prowess, if you will. But the unit as a whole has just been incredible. That bleeds into the 4th line. They've been so good. Matthias Janmark is just Mr. Consistency out there. Connor Brown, dare I say, is playing his best hockey as an Edmonton Oiler right now, Zach?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think he's looking really good. And I think that's why it would be hard to kind of pull him out of the lineup too, just because I think he is playing some of the best hockey that we've seen from him. And again, that goal that he scored was absolutely incredible. But you know what? It'll be interesting to see the way things all play out. You know, the more that I think about it, like, the more I'm not really sure. I'm contradicting myself from what I said earlier, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, man, like I worry about McLeod not being out there because of his ability on the penalty kill. Him and Warren Fogle are so dialed in together. They're so locked in. And, you know, there's been a lot of questions the way of the Edmonton Oilers about what's making their penalty kill so successful right now. And the answer has always been the same here. It's the fact that they all feel connected. They've been playing with the same guys for a long time, and they're very, very efficient out there. Another little interesting stat for you, Bordsy. Since penalty kill numbers were tracked in 1977-78, of all teams that have played over 14 games in a single playoff year, the Edmonton Oilers penalty kill percentage of 92.7 is the best all time for a single series, for a single playoff run. They're absolutely on fire right now. So what's it going to be like with McLeod out there? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but it's going to be something to follow for sure.
That gets me fired up. Defense wins championships, Zach.
Does.
PK
Does, Bordsy.
can win championships. Daniel Bryan, I like our PK merchants. I'll admit it. Hey, rolls off the tongue. We can enjoy that one. Let's take a look here at the starting goaltender report brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports Marine. They're officially now open. They got service for all makes and models. You need an inspection. You need a test run. You need some trailer TLC. Well, go bring it out there. They'll even give you a nice fresh oil change. It's adventure time. It's summertime. I'm wearing shorts right now. It's beautiful outside. And these games starting at 6:30. Brother, we might be done after dark and the sun will still slightly be out. That means summer's coming. That means it's adventure time. Go check out Sherwood Power Sports Marine. Let's pull it up here, the tail of the tape. Not much to really unpack here and talk about. We know what these guys are. Stuart Skinner, 890. Creeping up, baby. It's getting back up to that 900. You got to feel good about that. But Jake Onger, 204, 922. That is elite playoff goaltending from an elite playoff goaltender that has done it year in, year out. But Zach, goaltending battle right here. Those are just numbers from the playoffs as a whole in this series. Dead even attributes to why the margins are so thin out here. What can you say about the goaltending battle so far? We've kind of already touched on it, so you don't have to go too in depth.
It's been everything we've expected it to be. It's been everything we've hoped it would be, especially from the Edmonton perspective. Dialed in, right? He's been dialed in these last couple of games. He's looked really, really sharp. Jake Ottinger, same thing. He's been dialed in as well. He's a very, very good goaltender. So, you know what? Defense wins championships, Bordsy. You need good goaltenders to win in the Stanley Cup playoffs and the Stanley Cup finals. Both of these teams, all four of the remaining teams, are getting very, very good goaltending right now.
Talk about the PK numbers. Sure, they're elite. Stuart Skinner's numbers on the PK. It's a save percentage. Don't have them right in front of me right now, but I know they have been up there and they've been beautiful. Let's now move to the Dallas lineup report brought to you by Greta Bar YEG. I'm not there right now, and I'll be honest with you, as the closer we get to puck drop, I'm like, man, I could probably use a cold beer from Greta right now, but no, I got to stay away for a couple minutes. But that doesn't mean you don't have to, people. The best spot in the city to catch a game, enjoy any of their incredible features, unreal drink deals, delicious street food, dope-ass games. They got it all pre, post, Friday, Saturday, whatever day of the week you want. They're not open right now, actually, so unfortunately, you can't go there right now. They got to take a day off, just like I got to take off. But there's the Stars line rushes. Shout out Patrick Puff, producing behind the scenes. He'll be with us for AD tonight. And Zach, it's going to be you and me. Just a Bordsy and Zach variety hour. But the Stars line rushes: Robertson, Hintz, Seguin, Mason Marchment with Duchesne and Pavelski, Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnson, Jogan Stankoven. That's the blend line of young and old. You got to like that. Then it's Dodonov with Sam Steele, my boy, and Craig Smith. Deep pairings: Harley with Heiskanen, Lindell with Tanev, Suter with Petrovic. And of course, Jake Onger going to be in that net. So we've talked about it. Rupe Hintz, he's going to be in that lineup. Looking at that line alignment, are you a little surprised that Tyler Seguin is going to be in that top line spot? I thought maybe Logan Stankoven would stay up there, but Tyler Seguin in this playoff series scored 2 goals in game 1. He had, 25 in 68 games played in the regular season, I believe. This guy's looking rejuvenated. He's got the clutch gene. Guess it. There's really no bad decision right there with everybody in that top 9. You could really put anybody anywhere, but what do you think about the decision to put Tyler Seguin on the top line?
I'll get to that in a second, Bordsy. According to Elliot Friedman, Henrique is centering Warren Fogle and Connor Brown. Sam Carrick is centering Matthias Janmark and Derek Ryan. So a little bit of a change to the lineup in the bottom 6 for the Edmonton Oilers. For me, I'm not overly surprised that Seguin's up there on the top line. He's been great so far in the playoffs. He's been great against the Edmonton Oilers. He had a couple of goals in game 1 there. Looked really sharp doing so. This Dallas lineup, as it is currently constructed, is really close to what they were running for large parts of this season. The only real difference there is that Seguin was on that second line. Pavelski was up on that top line. So, you know what? Maybe here's an idea for you. Maybe they got Seguin up on the top line so we can take some face-offs for Rupe Hintz.
That actually does make a lot of sense. That actually does.
The loose reporting was that it was like a hand or a wrist injury for Hintz. Yeah. So, hey, maybe that's a reason why they're keeping Seguin up there so that he can take some draws, for Hintz. So it's going to be tough. This is a good Dallas team. The Oilers are showing that they've got depth as well. They can bang with this Dallas Stars team, as the kids will say these days. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but it's going to be a tough one.
Pause. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, and Zach, that's why you get paid the big bucks right there, buddy. I think that probably is a reason why Seguin would be up there in that spot. Robertson's not much of a face-off guy, and it was the wrist/hand injury I read for the past week. So yeah, that does make a little bit of sense in there. Initial thoughts, though, back to the Oilers lineup. Connor Brown on the third line. I love that. We just mentioned it. We just said it. Connor Brown is playing the best hockey he has as an Edmonton Oiler. We love what we're seeing with him on the PK, but he's playing fast, man. He's playing with energy. And it's been nice on the fourth line because that's what you want is your energy shifts. If you give 45 to 60 seconds and you don't get scored on and you keep the puck in the other end, that's good. But I do think Connor Brown has more to offer. He has more offensive upside. It's been funny because it's all coming together for him right here. As much say that, take that with a grain of salt. But I joked all year that he has the slowest shot release I've ever seen. And in game 2, he had a chance coming down the wing. And he said, fuck it, I'm just going to rip this one. And he had a shot. Onger made a good save on that one. So I've really, really liked what I've seen from Connor Brown. And I kind of like that move, man. And he plays with some speed. He's got some tenacity like a Warren Fogle does. Play with a smart guy in Adam Henrique. Good hockey IQs. I like it. What about you?
Yeah, I like it too. I think the speed element is something that's really important to have with Adam Henrique. Like, I'm worried that his ankle's not 100%. Like, it's been long enough. He should be okay, right? But after what we saw in game 2, like, he did not look good in game 2 against Vancouver. He was slow. I think he only played like 11 minutes that night, and very clearly was still pretty hurt because he's missed every game since then, right? So, you know, I think the truth of the matter is that you need a little bit of speed around a guy like Adam Henrique right now. I think having Brown slide up there is a good thing. Let's see how he does tonight. Let's see how this lineup looks, because the truth of the matter is if Henrique looks like he's doing good and can play up the middle, maybe you throw Ryan McLeod on the wing instead of having him play up the middle, right? We saw Warren Fogle, McLeod playing with Leon Draisaitl as a center through parts of this season. That was probably when those two guys were at their best offensively at the very least. Going to be something else to kind of follow. I mean, there's just so many storylines, so many things going on, so many little tweaks and changes and things to talk about with this team right now. And it's exciting, man. It's great to be able to do this at this time of year.
It makes our job so easy, man. I don't even have to write anything down before these shows. You just turn that light on. Let's go. We'll get some breaking news before it. And let's just say, let's take a moment. What a good problem to have right now, dealing with what's in the bottom six, that Corey Perry has to sit out and Ryan McLeod has to sit out. I remember previous years of what this team used to look like. And no shots at the guy, but like, remember he had playoff runs with your David Desharnais, who I did love and scored a big goal, but Adam Henrique, Ryan McLeod, I think those guys have much bigger upside. It's a fun problem to have. It's a fun thing to talk about. Let's now move to Betway. It's time for Bordzy's Bankroll, courtesy of Betway 19 plus. Please play responsibly, because with Betway, you can win a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Knock on wood, though, that's not happening tonight. All you got to do, place a bet, no minimum amount required. Scan that QR code, join the action. If your first bet loses, you will get a refund up to $200. You can then use that money to bet on your favorite sports. And unfortunately, this offer is only available outside of Ontario. Berta boys, stand up. All right, before we pull it up, Zach, you mentioned the Connor McDavid anytime goal earlier. I've already bet it, but I felt it was so obvious that I didn't put it on Bordzy's Bankroll, because I was like, well, I'm just going to do that one, and I know which one they would vote for. It's all for Ben. But with that said, let's take a look here now. Bordzy's Bankroll, the three choices this evening, they be juicy, people. Oil money line, 97 2+ points, plus 185. You got to like that one. You mentioned it, Connor. Can only keep a good guy down for so long. But then the next one, 2+ points for Dry, staring at a nice plus 130. I forget the number you mentioned for McDavid, 2+ points, but plus 130 had some extra juice. And we know Leon, playoff performer. And then the last one, shout out Frank Saravalli. He said today for our betting talk on ONE, he likes a boosh. Anytime goal, currently plus 275 on Betway. I have it. The only one I have bet so far is the McDavid goal. So I'm going to let this marinate for a couple minutes. Then I'll throw down with what the chat advises me to do. But Zachary, you're a betting man. You got cooking on in that pretty head of yours over there.
Oh, I got a couple of things cooking tonight. We're on the Edmonton Oilers on the money line, sitting at minus 130. Just love this spot for the Edmonton Oilers today. I think it's a real good bounce back spot for them here. Keep it simple. Load them up on the money line. Evan Bouchard, 2+ points at plus 200. I like this one as well. Bouchard's only got 1 point through the first two games of this round. That single point came in game 1, mind you. And then, of course, the one that I talked about earlier, Connor McDavid, 2+ points, -125 on betway.com. Please bet responsibly. Love all these spots tonight. I think it's a really good bounce back here for the Edmonton Oilers. I think they're in a great spot. They're going to be able to get their favorite matchups as well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll walk out a little bit richer tonight, Bordsy.
You got to love it. Chase the juice, baby. 19+, please play responsibly. And as I always say, courtesy of our friends from Betway, only bet what you're willing to lose, people. It's fun when you sprinkle. Do not get crazy with this stuff. Don't get nuts. Just to help support the game a little bit. Should have seen the guy at Greta. I said, when he had that Connor Brown puck and he scored that goal, I've never seen a man with a bigger smile on his face. It's a good vibe. Zachary, you know what I'm about to ask you? Need that score prediction? Need that anytime goal score? Hit me.
4-2 Edmonton Oilers win, and keeping in line with the Bordzy's bankroll. Let's go with the Boosh anytime goal tonight.
Yep, I like that one. Do I think the offense kind of breaks through here? I don't. The over-under is now being set at 5.5 because there's been so little amount of goals scored. I'm going to say 3-2 Edmonton Oilers, another 1-goal victory. Margins incredibly thin. My guy, Connor McDavid, do it for our boy Ben. He's going to get on the score sheet tonight for the first time in Rogers Place, all playoffs long. Little programming note tonight, Oilersnation After Dark. You got me, you got Zach, and we got our boy Patrick Puff behind the scenes as well. So Bordsy and Zach, Variety Hour will hopefully be breaking down an Edmonton Oilers W and talking about how all the guys we just predicted to score goals inevitably went out and scored all the goals. Big shout out to our sponsor, Sherwood Ford, the Giant, Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, Greta for the Stars lineup, Betway for Bordsy's bankroll, and didn't get it in, Boston Pizza, baby. It's time to team up for the win. You love them. We are the only Canadian team left in this thing. So plenty of room on the bandwagon. Zach, we don't bite. The chats, it's been growing. The subscriber count has been growing severely during this playoff run. So shout out to BPs. We're teaming up for the win. Last night's game between the Rangers and Panthers. What'd you think?
Oh, I thought it was an interesting game, man. I mean, I'm surprised that the Rangers were able to pull that one out. Because that was one hell of a pushback from the Florida Panthers in that game. Going to be fascinating to see what happens in that series now. I don't think the Panthers are going to go down lightly. That's for damn sure. But the Rangers are looking like they're playing some really, really good hockey right now. Got the 2-1 series lead. I feel like this one's going to go for a little while. I think this one's going to be a good 6 or 7 game series.
This one is 7 games, beat the literal shit out of each other. And I would like to see New York in the Stanley Cup final because I made the point, Zach. Would love to see McDavid raise Lord Stanley at Rogers Place. Consolation prize, Madison Square Garden, center of the universe. That could work too. I could take that as well. So shout out to BPs, team up for the win. Go check them out. Go get some cactus cuts, get some fish bowls, get some everything because they got it all. Zachary, I love you. I love everybody in the chat. Throw me a like on your way out, a courtesy like. And then, of course, get in the ONAD After Dark chat during the game. I'll be in there. Pat might be in there. I always love reading what you guys are thinking during the game as it's a roller coaster, baby. And I expect more of the same tonight. Big shout out to you, Zach. Big shout out to Patrick Puff. Good luck out there, everybody. I'll catch you right here after the game.